Well, let's get this show on the road here, and I'm going to share my screen, get the slideshow going. Okay. Okie dokie. So again, appreciate you guys being here. Little housekeeping notes. If you're able to change your name on your screen to your first name and the company that you're with, helps us out when we're putting you guys into breakout rooms here on the back end of this call so we can make sure you're in the right room. If you're able to turn on your camera, we would love to see you, especially when we get to the breakout rooms, because we will be asking questions to each one of you. And so it makes it a lot more interactive. But that is my housekeeping notes for today. So let's talk about what is on the agenda for today. We're going to have a teaching moment. We're going to be talking about the importance of tracking. We're going to go into breakout rooms. Also, if anybody has questions, you're more than welcome to ask during the call. You're more than welcome to ask during the breakout room. That is what we are here for. But as we start every meeting, we're going to start with wins of the week. I put this here. This is Bobby with Bobby Blue Plumbing. That's his darling dog. And Bobby here in front of his beautifully wrapped van. I would love it to know what's going well. What wins are we having? If you're willing to unmute, we'd love to hear it. I know last week we talked about planning and scheduling. Does anybody have a win about their scheduling, the changes that they've made?
Got the website up and going.
Hey, that's exciting. Brandon with JB Trades, I believe that was you who spoke up. Yes, beautiful website. Well, we're happy to hear it. Any other wins coming through?
No wins. Oh man.
No wins.
All
Joel,
right.
Joel, I saw you on mute.
Just maybe. I mean, I'm supposed to talk to this lady this afternoon. She pretty much underhanded me this job. She said, if you bid it between this amount and this amount, then the job's yours. It's to remodel the restrooms in a Best Buy. So that's a pretty cool one to add to the portfolio. Pretty legit, I'd say. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
It's a great opportunity.
When I talk to her, it seems like a pretty promising one.
Yes.
My question on that is, what stops you from bidding the very top of that amount? I don't know why.
Nothing. I bid it at the very top.
I don't know why someone would give a range. Just say the number.
Yeah, I was like, okay, thanks. Very easy. But
That's
called outbidding yourself. Don't do that, anybody.
I call that a win.
Yes, that is definitely a win. Let's see here. I think I saw Gabe with Gabe's Electrical. Gabe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with looking at your guys' numbers, you guys had one of the biggest Januaries that you guys have had. Am I incorrect there?
Correct. Yeah, we just had our January is the slowest month for us. Our slowest revenue of the month, I think it was $4,500, which is pretty bad. We just squeaked by in debt. So this January we hit our bottom number, which is around 37 grand. So that's a huge difference, on a slowest month. Usually it's a slower time, but things like, checklist and calling back customers, and a win for us for as far as like scheduling and tracking is that by us tracking our revenue and tracking the leads coming in, we're able to make educated decisions to move in our business. Because if I wasn't able to track, how would I know if I can absorb the additional expense the business has to occur? So that has given me the ability to make the right choices.
Yes, Gabe.
Wow.
I love it. I did not pay him to say that. I promise. That was all on him.
All right. Talk to y'all next week.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. No, we're looking at Gabe's numbers, and Gabe's Electrical has been a client for a long time. But what's pretty phenomenal is they've been so consistent on tracking we have numbers from 2020, 2021, 2022. We're tracking in 2023. And their business has over doubled, I think close to tripled, with the same amount of guys in those past couple years. And now we're looking to add on another technician. So I'm just so excited, Gabe, for what this year has in store with you, with how much growth you've experienced with your current team. And now that we're building onto the team, I just think 2023 is going to be a record-breaking year.
Yeah, this year is a year of resources. So use the resources that you have without spending too much money. Just use what you got, make what you got before you spend big money. So that's what we've been working on.
Yes, Gabe's going to be doing the next group call for everybody. Just kidding.
For a small fee.
Oh, love it. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so as Gabe kind of mentioned, what we're going to be talking about today is tracking, the importance of tracking. I see a lot of you here. I know that a lot of you have been clients for a long time. I know some of you are pretty brand new. Tracking something we try to get involved very quickly. So a lot of you have probably been introduced to the tracking document or getting ready to be introduced. It might be something that you've been using for years. But there is always something that we can be doing better with the information that we gather from tracking or the data points that maybe we're neglecting. There's always another level. It's always good to revisit our tracking and make sure we're doing the most with it. So let's dive in here. First thing here is, why should I track? You can ask our CEO, Tim Redmond, that I almost have an allergic reaction to spreadsheets. Not a huge fan. Does anybody else feel that way? That's just like, I see Gabe's hand. I saw Joel's eyebrows go up. I think he was feeling similar to me. Not a huge fan of spreadsheets. I was the kid in high school that actively hated math class. And so numbers are not my thing. Now, Bryce loves spreadsheets and numbers. That's his realm. That's his world.
It's true.
But we're all different. I know that for a lot of you guys, sitting down and filling out a spreadsheet is not your favorite thing to do, but it is so important. So let's talk about why. Why should I get over that fear, get over that reaction? Why should I track? The first thing here is we need to operate by fact compared to feeling. Has anybody caught themselves saying things like, I feel like we were busier last year, or I feel like we're having a harder time closing, or I feel like this guy is predicting guys. We're talking about feeling, and you're probably not wrong. You're in your business, you probably have a hunch, you're probably not far off. But we need to know fact, because it's really hard to make educated decisions off of feeling. Kind of like what Gabe was saying earlier, is it can lead you down a pathway of making investments or decisions for your business that are incorrect, that can get you in trouble. So that's the first thing, is we want to operate by fact compared to feeling. Educated training and feedback. What this allows is it allows us to be able to invest in our team. It allows us to be able to identify issues in our sales process, identify issues with each one of our guys so that we can give them better advice. That is your job as the business owner, is to be able to look at the numbers and identify the issues with each team member and be able to invest into that team member to fix that problem. If you're not doing that, you're failing that team member. You're failing your team. You've got to make sure that you're able to look at those numbers and be able to give back feedback and training based on those numbers to your guys. You also are able to identify issues quickly. We're very goal-oriented here at Redmond Growth. We talk about KPIs a lot, and I'm going to dive into that later. KPIs. Does anybody know what KPIs stand for? I want you to unmute and shout it out. What does KPI stand for?
Key performance indicators.
There we go. There we go. Key performance indicators. Those are the data points that are the most important data points to your business. These are the data points that allow us to make decisions. They're the data points that allow us to see, are we getting closer to our goals? And if we're not, where is the issue? Am I not getting enough leads? Am I not closing enough? Is it my average ticket? You know, if I need to get to blank, what data points need to happen to get me there? And so it allows you to identify those issues quickly so that you can solve them. So these are the main reasons why we should be tracking. I love this quote because it is so true. He goes, I ask people what they do in sales, how much money they made last year, what their cost of sales is, and they don't even know. If you don't know your numbers, you're going out of business. I don't care how good your product is. And that is so true. If you do not know your numbers, then we're flying blind. We truly are. I tell clients all the time, if we don't know our numbers, then what the heck are we doing this for? None of this matters. If we don't know our numbers, we have no idea what our profit margin is, or we have no idea what our cost of goods sold is. How do we know how to price correctly if we don't know those percentages? You know, how do you know? You might be working really hard. I know a lot of clients can get into this feeling where they're like a hamster running on this wheel really fast, working really hard, but they're not getting anywhere. You don't feel like you're making progress. You're not getting closer to your goals. You're still on that hamster wheel. Tracking is going to allow you to be able to see that progress even when you're in the messy middle, even when you're not exactly where you're trying to go, but you're making progress. You're able to see those numbers. And so tracking is vital. We got to learn to love it. And we're going to talk about ways to make it simple, because that's something that I'm very passionate about. That's the way that I've learned to love numbers, is you got to keep it simple. So when should I track? If everything is a mystery, if we feel like we're flying blind, feel like we're living in this world of, I feel like we're growing, I feel like we're doing better, or I feel like we're doing worse. If we're living in this world of mystery where we don't know our closing ratios, our percentages, let's start tracking. Don't try to track everything at once. Start with one thing. You know, let's start with tracking our KPIs, or let's start with tracking our lead flow. And I'm going to walk you guys through later, you know, our core tracking documents and where to start. But if everything is a mystery, we need to start tracking. If you have no idea where your money is going, has anybody been in a situation where they feel like, Nicole, the money goes in the account and the money goes out of the account? And that's what I know. Has anybody ever felt that way? That's their accounting. I think a lot of business owners start that way, you know, and that's kind of unfortunately how we're trained to do accounting. The money comes out of the account. That's what I know. If you're unsure why things aren't working, if you're unsure why you're not closing more deals, or you're unsure why you're not getting more revenue, or you're unsure of, maybe your business has grown really quickly. You're a $3 million business, but you had a $20,000 profit. Okay, that's a concern. You know, if you're unsure of why these things are happening, it's time to track. So let's talk about what that looks like. You know, a good rule of thumb is we want to track everything at Redmond Growth. We want to track every single thing, but where do we start? What are the basic? Your core KPIs is where we start with, I would say, most of our clients. We start here. You know, how many leads, how many appointments, how many closes, what average ticket do we need to get in order to hit our goals? Your core KPIs. Individual leads. Who here is a remodeler or a painter or a roofer? Kind of, I see some hands going up. Your sales process is going to be a little bit longer than like your average plumber, electrician, HVAC guy. Your sales process is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit extended, which means that leads can get very easily lost in the process. We got to nurture our leads a little bit more. And so we've got to track that. We've got to track each individual lead and where they're at in the sales process. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a minute. Technician performance. This is huge, especially for our service guys, our HVAC plumbers. This is also applicable to those of you who have sales team members. If you're a roofing company or a painter or a remodeler and you have other people going out and selling, let's make sure we're keeping track of how many estimates they're giving and how many deals they're closing and what the average job is. You know, those are KPIs that are very important for you to be able to assess your team and the success that they're having. Cash flow and profits is another thing that we have to be tracking. There's many different ways of doing this. And we have all of them, or most of them. Tracking each individual job, tracking your income and expenses, tracking your profit first accounts. You know, there's a lot of different ways of doing this. There's a basic ways to start. You know, so if you're unsure, if you're like, I have no idea where to start with my income and expenses, I have no idea. Maybe profit first is a little bit intimidating to you. Ask your coach. You know, we can simplify it just starting somewhere, you know, where we're getting closer to knowing those numbers. So let's talk about what this looks like. Okay. Did that work? Are we looking at the KPIs document? Bryce is so embarrassed when I don't trust technology. I just saw him shaking his head at me. Okay, so a lot of you are familiar with this. This is our core KPIs document. So how this works is we're going to see the annual goal for this company is 1.2 million. Okay. Their conversion ratio, meaning out of all of the people that they talk to, all of the leads, let's say that they end up giving an estimate or setting an appointment with about 80% of them. Okay. Their closing ratio is about 60%, meaning out of all of the estimates that they give, they end up doing work for about 60% of them. So if we want to hit 1.2 and our average ticket is around $5,000, and knowing that our conversion ratio is 80% and our closing ratio is 60, that means that we need to get at least 10 leads in per week. We need to do at least 8 estimates or appointments, kind of interchangeable there. We need to close 5 of them, which will put us at that right over 23,000. Which will put us at that 100,000 per month, which will put us at that 1.2 per year. And we see how many leads that is for each month, how many estimates each month, how many number of jobs we need to complete. And on an annual basis, we see those numbers as well. Now, we don't want to just set this and forget it. We got to be able to track. We got to be able to know on a week-by-week basis, are we close to these goals? And so what you'll see here is for the month of January, we have it filled out. How many leads came in, how many appointments or estimates did we give, how many jobs did we complete, and how much money did we, what's our current average ticket total? And so we're able to see for the month of January, are we on track to hit this goal? We're also able to see that if our average ticket total changes or if our closing ratio changes, we're able to update that here and change all of our numbers. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? I know spreadsheets are, like I said, I'm allergic to them in a lot of ways. So does anybody have any questions? We're feeling pretty good about it. So this, for example, if our average ticket total of 5,000, if it changed to 6,000, look how that changes all of our numbers here. You know, same thing where if our closing ratio goes from 60% to 80%, look at how that changes our numbers. These all work together, which is why we have to track each and every one of them. And it's going to allow you to be able to identify the issues in your company quickly and be able to solve them. Questions, concerns, grievances.
This also sets goals looking out into the future, right? We call this the leading KPIs document because once you have these numbers set, it tells you what you're aiming for. Hey, we know that in order to close 4 jobs, we need to have 5 estimates. In order to have 5 estimates, we need to have 6 leads coming in. So then it becomes a matter of pulling levers. I think about a lot. You know, you read some articles from big business owners and they say, oh, it's all about numbers. It's knowing the numbers and stuff like that. Well, even at small business, this is that same concept at work. When you know your percentages, it's just a matter of, okay, I need this many leads to do this amount of jobs at this price to make this much money. So fill in the blanks of what questions, where's the gap? Just like Nicole was saying, where do you focus? If it's on the closing, maybe it's there. Or if it's actually in the marketing, maybe it's there. Or if it's an average price, you know, maybe it's there. So setting goals, looking forward.
Yes, and keeping track of them. You know, it's when you're working really hard and when you're in the messy middle and you're not exactly where you want to go yet, but you're working hard. If you don't know your numbers, it can feel kind of defeating, you know, when you're just flying blind and working really hard. And so knowing your numbers, you know, I think about the same thing when you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to get into better shape. What are the things you're going to track? You're going to be tracking things like your measurements, your weight. Maybe you're getting faster. Maybe you're having better form. You know, these are little mile markers that are able to show you, are you getting closer to your goals? Same concept here. It's going to allow you to adjust, going to allow you to be able to pivot quickly based on the data. I'm going to blow through the rest of these tabs. One thing that I always tell clients, tabs are at the bottom. You don't want to scroll. You just look down here at the bottom. You're going to see the different tabs. The next one's labeled leads in sales process. I talked about this earlier. These are for you guys who have a longer sales process. Our roofers, our painters, our modelers, you've got a longer sales process. This is going to be very vital to you. We don't want leads to get lost. And so as a lead comes in, we plug them into this spreadsheet. And then we highlight them, whatever color they are at in the sales process. And so you'll see I've got some examples here, okay?
Man, Voldemort didn't close. What the heck?
He didn't. I know. I think it's because he died. So
nice.
Sad day.
Yeah, I'll shout out two guys that I know that are here right now that do this really well. Joel Bailey and Fabio Arujo. Both of you guys do this really well. Do either of you want to kind of speak up and testify to the power of doing this spreadsheet in particular?
Fabio. Joel's cool as well.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, you get to know where you're at. It is kind of, it gets too chaotic when you're trying to keep track of everybody and just make phone calls or look at your texts and see who you've been in touch with. It's when it's right there, all in one place, everybody's information, you know, it makes it pretty easy to know who you need to get in touch with. Yeah. Plus,
yeah.
All that information that you put on there, like it's your contact book right there. I mean, and you can go back, and me and Bryce have done this where you just email even the people that you didn't close with.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
it allows you to stay more organized. It allows you to be able to see issues in your sales process. You know, if you jump in here and you see a lot of orange, that means we're having some issues closing. We need to set up some follow-up appointments. Maybe we need to adjust our sales process. Allows you to identify. Also, I would love it for you, Joel, if you weren't the only person doing sales in the company at some point. And you're going to be able to keep track of your new sales guys' performance. You know, are they staying on top of their leads? Where are they at in the leads process? Where are they having issues? You know, it helps you keep track of your leads, but it also is going to help you keep track of your guys' performance as well. Service and sales tracking. This is for each of your individual guys, for your technicians, for my service companies. This is very vital to you. It's going to allow you to be able to see on a week by week basis, how much money are they bringing in? How many jobs do we send them out to? How many jobs do they complete? What's their average ticket? So let's say we sent Bobby here out on 8 jobs and he closed 3 of them. That means that his average ticket is right over $1,500. You know, this is going to allow us to know how each one of our technicians are performing so that we can give them better feedback. We can give them goals. You can give them bonuses based off of goals. And if we're tracking the numbers, a little bit of competitiveness in the workplace is not a bad thing. You know, we want our guys to be able to see what the other guy is doing. We want them to be challenged by that. This is going to be a very key tool for you to use when it comes to training and investing into your guys. Now, this spreadsheet can be a little bit intimidating. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. This is one that if you are using it and you have questions, book a laser call with your coach. This is profit first. So this is a profit first spreadsheet. Very simple way to blow through this is how much income came in that week. This is how much we dedicated to materials and subs. This is how much we had left over. We call that real revenue. And this is how much we're dedicating towards our owner's pay, our profit, our operating expenses, our tax, and our emergency fund. So on a week by week basis, you're able to see a screenshot of your cash flow. You're very in tune with the cash flow of your business. You've got money set aside. This is a very simple way to be able to keep track of your cash flow and to make it simple. Like I said earlier, if you're using this and you're having a hard time, book a laser call with your coach. If this is something you're in need of, book a laser call with your coach. That's the answer. A very simple place to start if you're trying to track your revenue and your profits is this spreadsheet here. We introduce it to our clients very quickly. Very simple. How much money came into the business that month? How much money was left over? You might have some months that are in the negative. You might have some months that are very high. It should all even out. And that will give us a good idea. It will give you a good idea on your profit margin, where your money is, your profit margin, so we can make adjustments. So these are kind of the core things that we want to be tracking for your business. There's a lot of other things that we can track, but these are the basics. If you're wondering where to start, again, book a laser call with your coach. Let us help you with that. Jumping back to our presentation here. How should I track? How do I track better? Keep it simple, okay? That's the method here. Set a time to update and review. This is going to be a rock in your calendar. Last week, we talked about rocks in our calendars. We talked about scheduling. Having a set time to look at your spreadsheets and your tracking has to be in your calendar every single week. A lot of our clients do it every single day. And so set up that time to update and review it. Don't be scared to edit and add. We give you your own spreadsheet. Our feelings are not going to be hurt if you edit it. Add to it. It's meant to serve you. Take action based on the numbers. A great question to ask is when you're looking at your KPIs, when you're looking at these spreadsheets, you want to ask yourself, based on these numbers, based on what I see here, what action do I need to take next? Maybe I need to do a little bit more training with this specific guy because he's having a hard time closing. Maybe it's, okay, our average tickets are looking a little bit low as a whole. Let me sit down with my team and let's train on how to price better, how to come up with the estimate. Your numbers are great to keep track of, but if we aren't actually doing anything with the data, it's pointless. What's the point of it? So we've got to ask ourselves that question. These numbers, what do I do next? And then make an action plan around that. I threw this one in here because this is something that comes up probably 9 times out of 10. Most of you guys have a CRM system or a scheduling software of some point. Hands up, does anybody use some type of software? Builder Trend, House Call Pro, Service Titan. There's 1,000,005 different ones out there. These are great systems, and there comes a point in your business where it's 100% necessary, okay? I get the questions a lot when I introduce a lead tracker or a spreadsheet of, hey, I already have this data in House Call Pro. I already have it in Service Titan, Builder Trend, whatever. Why should I use this spreadsheet? I don't want to have duplicate entries. And what I always say is, I don't give a flying flip where you keep track of these stuff, as long as you're keeping track of it. But what I will say is that a lot of our clients use CRM systems and scheduling softwares, and they still find value in using a spreadsheet because sometimes it's hard to collect that data in your CRM system or software. There's not like a central place to see it all. You're having to change filters. You're having to navigate to this page and then to this page in order to get the information that you need. Use your CRM system as a way to collect the data that you need to plug into your spreadsheet. And then your spreadsheet is your way of having one central place where you're able to see all of this data points in one location. You're not having to change filters. You're not having to jump from different pages. You have one central place where you're able to look at all of that data and make an educated decision. If your CRM system is capable of doing that without a spreadsheet, more power to you. We love to see it, utilize it. The main thing is that you're using it and you're reviewing it and it's consistently getting updated.
I have 2 cents to put in here, maybe
All right.
maybe 3 cents, but I think that's something I'm really passionate about, because I'll hear that a lot, and thankfully I don't get so much resistance on it. I think most of the time you guys are pretty coachable, so thank you. But you know, a good follow-up question to, well, my CRM, my software actually tracks all of this. Great. How often have you reviewed it? That's, you know, how long does it take to print out that report? Let's keep it simple for yourself. That's the whole point. Let's put all the numbers we care most about all in one place. If it's important to you, put it on that spreadsheet. So.
Amen, Rudy. That was definitely 3 cents.
Thank you.
You did a good job. Now, another thing that I decided to put here is accountability. That's one of the biggest things that we provide here at Redmond Growth is accountability, that we're making sure that you are filling out your spreadsheet, that you're looking at it, and you're doing something with that data. You know, that's something that we provide. But I would say that it is very helpful to have somebody else in your company who's fighting along with you, who's helping you with that tracking, whether it's your office manager or your spouse or your project manager, you know, somebody who's also looking at those spreadsheets with you, making sure that they're getting updated and helping you make decisions based on that data. You know, have that accountability, have that help. That's really going to set you up for success. Okay, so I know we covered a lot here, and like I said earlier, I know spreadsheets can be a little bit of an intimidating topic. What we're going to do now is we're going to put everybody into breakout rooms where we're going to ask questions. You're going to be able to ask questions, and we're really going to be able to get really clear on what action should we take based on what we talked about here today.